This week on the microphone, we welcome Peter Clay of Michigan State Athletics. Enjoy the episode. All right, welcome and introduce yourself, please.
I'm Peter Clay. I am the announcer for the Michigan State Spartans football team, the hockey team, and the Spartan Marching Band. And during the day, I work at a TV station, CBS, and an ABC affiliate here in Lansing, Michigan. So kind of get to be around sports and TV and entertainment quite a bit.
Awesome. That's a goal for many, and you're getting to live the dream.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, well, we'll get into our 10 questions for you as a
Okay.
public address announcer. And the
Sounds good.
first one is, what was your first announcing gig? What was your first announcing job?
So I would say that it's kind of an interesting story. So I'm a junior at MSU. I'm in the marching band, but are planning on being in the marching band that fall. And I talked to the director at the time, and he's like, "I want to be there. I want to be your announcer." And I didn't know if he was trying to get a new announcer or whatever. And he's like, "Yeah, whatever. Get a job in broadcasting, and then we'll talk." So I went out and got a part-time job at the local country music station, board operating and doing some minor DJ work here and there, and that kind of escalated. And I went back to him and I'm like, all right, I got a job in broadcasting. What next? He's like, well, do a demo for me. I did a demo of, kind of how I remembered as a kid listening to the Spartan Marching Band and what I wanted to take the band announcing back to. And he's like, "Oh my gosh, this is great!" And then that next fall, before my senior year, he calls me and says, "All right, let's do this." I was just completely blown away, and I'm a student. I mean, the last two announcers, there had only been two ever. One of them did it for 35 years, and the other one did it for about 8 years, and they were very professional broadcasts. And I'm a young kid. I'd done some DJing, but got a chance to do it. And then the unfortunate thing is I graduated. I decided I'm working in radio. I moved to Asheville, North Carolina. I had to give it up after only one season. So was able to come back 7 years later, and they offered to me again. So it worked out well. And then I added hockey, and then I added the football just a couple years ago.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
a rare rarity to leave a job and come straight back to that job and it to be, such an awesome opportunity.
Yeah, it just so it all worked out, and I won't give it up again. That's for sure.
Man, it's saying a lot that you would leave the Biltmore house, living in the Biltmore
Yeah.
house to return to announcing.
Well, unfortunately, they didn't give me a room in the Biltmore stay. I had to find my own place to live.
So you've mentioned some of the sports that you've done. What's the longest weather delay that you have been a part of? Because that makes for a long day when you have
Yeah,
lightning and thunder, or what it may not even been that. That's my neck of the woods. Maybe it was snow or something else. I don't know. But tell us about your longest weather delay.
sure. Well, it was before I started doing the football games, so it ended up being kind of a weird day. But 2019, I think it was, Michigan State, Penn State had a 3-hour football weather delay to the point where they evacuated the entire stadium. I'm kind of sitting up there saying, what are we going to do? Finding out if the marching band, it was pre halftime. So whether they're going to do a halftime show or not. And I kind of just sat around waiting. And eventually they called it and said, no, it's going to be too wet. Band's not going out of the field anyway. So I actually, for the first time, I went home and watched the game with a beer in my hand afterwards. Reconvened three some hours later. The overall time for the game was something like 7 hours and 40 minutes for a football game. I'm amazed they got it back on TV. That was the crazy thing, is that the networks were able to shift everything around and show the game live.
Oh, you're
About,
Big Ten though.
yeah, there were about 3,000 fans that came back into the stadium at the end of
Oh,
the game. But it was, and they won. That was the best. It was an exciting game, but they won. So I'd say that was it. There's only been a few times that weather delays even happen, but it's kind of crazy to evacuate an 80,000 seat stadium, and they have places to put people in the IM buildings nearby. They put people in the concourses. Some people just leave, so it's a pretty huge undertaking, and then trying to get them back in can be entertaining as well.
right. Especially, may have other engagements in the day, or some people
Yeah.
bring their kids, and little kids don't have
Yeah.
the attention span.
Well, I don't do well with 3-hour rain delays.
Now, what's the best crowd chant that you have heard in your tenure?
So MSU, they have a thing, and it's kind of extends. It's a crowd chant. It's everything. One side of the stadium will yell "Go Green," the other side of the stadium yells "Go White," and that kind of translates. Or if you're a Michigan State guy, see you wearing a shirt, I'll say "Go Green" to you walking down the street, and they'll say Go White" back to me. And then I would say that there's always funny ones and things that, especially with the student section, many inappropriate ones that'll make me chuckle, but I don't know if I want to repeat. But yeah, the go green, go white, just it's kind of an MSU thing that works. It's not the most inventive or ingenious thing, but it's consistent. I'll say that.
Yeah, and that builds camaraderie, and that builds your fan base. So
Right.
that's
And
great.
when I do hockey games, as they score, so first time I'll do go green, the crowd says go white. If it's up to 7 goals, and I've had to do that, is go green, go white, go green, go white, go green, up to 7 times. So I kind of play off it a little that way too.
That's cool. That's neat. I did not know that about Michigan State.
Yeah,
Uh,
well, go blue. I mean, Michigan says that, and what do you say back to go blue? Nothing. They just say go blue. I think
yeah,
it's better to have an answer.
yeah, interaction. I love the interaction. Now we've talked some sports, but what's one event you would love to announce that's not sports related?
So it's funny. I've always had this dream about like being the PA announcer at like the Oscars. This is so and so's 15th nomination and third Oscar win. Oh, that would be, I think, a dream. Anything like that on live TV, any sort of award show that would, obviously there's still a lot of things on my bucket list for sports I'd love to do, but I would say that yeah, an award show of some sort where I'm the kind of the voice that takes people from place to place.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, do you eat? Announcers are different on this. Do you eat before the game? Do you eat during the game? Or do you just wait until the end? You don't want any type of substance in your mouth while the game's going on, or you don't want a full belly. So, before, during, or after the game, when do you eat?
The answer is yes. Especially for football. We usually get there early. My brother's my spotter. We have a little tailgate group. So we got out there early and cook, and then we'll get into the game. And they give us kind of a coupon thing that you can buy stuff there. We'll usually end up using those for maybe a hot dog at halftime, but we just get a bunch of bottles of water and candy and stuff and just kind of, and then after the game, depends. With the college games are usually at noon, 3:30, and 7:30, and so they can your routine changes dramatically based on that. But I would say that yeah, it doesn't bother me to have food. The one thing I've learned is I like to chew on ice. Don't chew on ice while you're announcing it. It will freeze your tongue, and all of a sudden you'll be freaked out that you're not saying words properly. So that would be the one thing I would say. During hockey, they always have a pregame meal, so I eat before, and but yeah, I definitely don't have a strong opinion about
But maybe you have a strong opinion about this. Let's stick on the food. What's your favorite franchise
that.
restaurant then, a chain restaurant?
So I had to do some thinking about this one because there's so many. I mean, living in Asheville, North Carolina, and then visiting the South once. I love going to a Mellow Mushroom, um, but I would say PF Chang's. I mean, always knocks it out of the park. And we just got one of those the BJ's Smokehouse and Brew House thing, whatever. That I guess that's a great one. I don't know. I'm not too picky. I'm right now. I'm doing the low carb thing, so I've got to be able to find something to eat there. That's pretty
Mhm.
much.
Understand that.
Yeah.
W- Back on your announcer jobs, what are you most proud of as a public address announcer?
I keep going back to I love doing the football, I love doing the hockey, but being a part of the Spartan Marching Band, being a former member, being really ingrained in that organization, it's one of the cool things you get to do, and a lot of people don't realize you get to travel with the band, both to away games and bowl trips. And so I've been able to announce in some pretty iconic places that not many people get to take over the mic. It's usually the house announcer there, and then some band announcers go. So I mean, I and the Rose Bowl was dream come true. Is what if I could have, if I had to end it after that, it would have been all right. I did my thing. But some really amazing NFL stadiums: Lucas Oil Stadium, Ford Field, uh, Raymond James Stadium, and some of the big college ones, obviously Ohio Stadium, Notre Dame, Michigan. Just really cool to be able to hand a mic to an away guy wearing the away team colors and take over their stadium for a 15 minutes. It's pretty amazing.
Oh, the Rose Bowl, that one just sticks out to me.
Uh,
I'm envious, very envious.
it, it was amazing. The one thing it was so frustrating though. ESPN that year, they had my mic off for the first half of the announcement. They only show about 15, maybe, I don't know, maybe a minute and a half of the marching bands at halftime. I'm like, this is my goal. This is my chance. And they basically missed my announcing on there and then got it right for Stanford. And Stanford always has student announcers, and their band is, to say the very least, unique. If you're not familiar with this band, they do everything they can to try and rouse the crowd and the opposing team and everything else. And so they got all of his announcing. So I guess I just got to go back, I guess, to the Rose Bowl again. We'll
Yeah,
see.
and Tampa Bay is my team. So when you say Raymond James, but I want to fire the cannon.
Yeah.
I want to
So
push the
what
button
I
that
think
fires the cannon.
that might be the most expensive sound system I've ever. That Raymond James sound system is beautiful. It's timed. It's total delay. So you're kind of in the corner looking at the field, and you have to have headphones on because it's like a 2 second delay to distribute the audio, but it makes it so the audio sounds very full instead of a lot of stadiums that just are shooting from one end of the stadium to the other, and it can be really loud in certain areas and quiet in others. So
Mm.
it's a neat, and it is a really cool stadium.
How often, or not how often, how early do you arrive before a game? Because this isn't just show up 5 minutes before, hey, I'm ready. No matter how experienced, you're in front of 80,000 people. So how early are
Right.
you are
I
arriving?
am. I need to start my announcements an hour before, so I get into the stadium 90 minutes before. But like I said, I'm there. Usually, like a noon game, I'm getting there at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning, having a good time with friends, and then heading in 90 minutes before the game. For hockey, it's about an hour because my announcements start about half hour before. I used to way go overboard and just sit there and do everything. And I've gotten a pretty good routine that I can, I need to get the starting lineups. Those usually aren't given to me. I've got to track down the sports information person from the other team. For hockey, they circle the lineups on their lineup pages. It's a pretty easy one, but need to write out how the starting lineup introductions are going to go. Whether I'm announcing their hometown and all that good stuff. But and definitely, I don't want to be unprepared for any of the special things, especially names of honorees. The people that get presented Spartan helmets or whatever down on the field by the athletic director. It's better to get those people's names right because they usually represent some donor money and some other things.
Right. And this,
Yeah,
they always say the sweetest sound that you can hear is your name. So,
exactly. And it sounds really sour when they pronounce it incorrectly.
right.
A couple of unfortunate scenarios where I've said some people's names that I should have gotten right. And so I learned that lesson a long time ago. And don't wing it.
But that's
Make
how you
sure you
learn. That's how you learn and grow is through
exactly.
mistakes. So if someone comes to a Michigan State football game and tailgating has become its own event in itself, what's the top tailgate food that they should expect to try?
So I wish there was some like, Michigan thing, like, oh, you got to have that fried Wolverine or something. I don't know. Um, but I think that in general, I love the breakfast games. I think that those are usually people do a really amazing job. The omelet station, stuff like that. Chili is obviously always going to be big. Um, I would say that a beer would be considered a major food group there. And one of the unique things about going to a game in Michigan, and I've experienced going to a Notre Dame game and Michigan State game, and we have the bottle bill in Michigan, so it's a 10-cent bottle refund. When you leave the stadium, there are no cans and bottles anywhere.
Wow.
It's amazing. You go to Notre Dame and there are dumpsters overflowing. Indiana needs to get on the deposit train because it is everyone just collects the cans. People that need the money will go around tailgate to tailgate and collect all the beer cans and bottles, and so the stadium area is fairly clean when people leave for tailgating, which I think is
That's fantastic.
pretty.
Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that may be the best thing I've heard all day. That's
There you go.
great.
There you go.
So, last question. What's one piece of advice that you would give to aspiring announcers?
Well, one piece, I guess I'd say, don't wait to be asked. Some people are lucky enough to just fall into it, but if you want to do it, you got to go for it, and you got to be patient too. The positions are sometimes always opening and closing, but and I spent 2 years staying in contact with the person who was going to ultimately be choosing the replacement football announcer. Just every 6 months or so, I'd be like, hey, I'm not sure. The guy's name was Terry. I'm not. Terry's been talking about retiring. Just want to make sure that if a change is being made, that I'd like to be considered, and here's some of the reasons why. And I think that it ended up becoming a very organic and logical step because they kind of knew how that might go down. I think that it also avoided some sort of, oh, Terry's retired. Now we're going to have this audition process and whatever. Then so I got to eliminate the competition, I think,
Mm,
by just starting early, but not being cocky, not being rude, not being annoying, just asking. I think that if I had more time to do more sports, I'd approach it the same way. Whether I wanted to try and move into any of the Detroit sports teams or anything like that, I'd have a plan, a goal to kind of see, but also be patient and realize that a no does not always mean no. Maybe there's an opportunity to fill in down the road that then forays into a chance to do the job full time. And that's kind of what ended up happening during the COVID season. I think it's one of the coolest things I got to do was they asked me to fill in for a game, and I had never done a football game before, and I got to practice in front of about 100 fans with a full stadium, full sound system going, and I got to get it right without having all the fans judging me. And so by the time I actually got around to doing a full game the next season when I started full time, I was ready and not nervous, and it was like, all right, I can do this. I got compliments. I know I did it pretty well in the practice side, but everyone should get a practice game with no fans in the stadium. But I don't think that's going to happen. I hope it's happening.
man, what an awesome opportunity you're talking about there.
That was a neat experience.
Well, you've given of your time today, so I want to close with allowing you to uh, take your time here and just plug whatever you would like. Give a shout out to whoever you would like because you gave of your time. So we're very grateful for that.
Well, I think this is a cool thing. I'm anxious to hear some of the shows as they come out, and as far as promoting anything, I mean, I do voiceover work on the side. I produce podcasts and videos and things, and so if you ever need any production help with stuff, I've got a home studio. Also, if you're in the Lansing, Michigan area, and you need to buy some TV advertising, I'm your man. And go green, go white.
Awesome. Thank you, Peter.
Absolutely.
If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and share the content. Also, consider joining the Public Address Announcer Facebook group so you can connect with others who are on the microphone.